And gentlemen, I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we're going to look at the Polish Tier 9 medium tank, the CS59. Of course, we've had a look at the Tier 10 version, but how different is the Tier 9 compared to the Tier 10? So, the CS59, of course, is the Polish medium. I'm not a great lover of the Tier 10, I'm not going to lie. It's okay, it does the job, it's balanced. However, the Tier 9, I feel, might be a little bit better. That's mainly because you're dropping down a tier, and the tank itself is not much different. Of course, it does not have any armor whatsoever, so do bear that in mind. You're not going to get any bounces. Unless it's troll, you're not going to get any bounces whatsoever in this tank. Now, the DPM is around 3,000, which isn't so bad. It isn't bad at all for a medium tank. Of course, there are some others in Tier 9 that sit around that, maybe a little bit higher. But yeah, 3,000 for a Tier 9 tank isn't bad at all. That is a 6.65 second reload. Now, the reason I like this tank a lot more than the CS63 is the fact that this does have 3,000 DPM, but it also has the tungsten shells as well. So you can actually pump that up a little bit more. So you can get maybe 3 shots. If you shoot straight away, you're looking at almost 3 shots. 612, yeah, probably just over 2 shots with that tungsten shells. And of course, with being a medium, you doing a higher amount of damage in a medium tank is not too bad at all. So you have a 240 alpha on your AP, 280 on your APCR. Now, I am running this with the rammer just to get that DPM up a little bit because it is nice with that DPM. And with it having APCR, you don't really feel too much effect running the calibrated shells. So you've got a 330 alpha gun on the AP, which is why I said I don't really mind the tank, and I quite like it, because if you do use that tungsten shell as well, you can do around 360, 370 damage, which is nice for a medium tank for a 6-second reload, or just over a 6-second reload. You've got 280 damage on your APCR, and of course 380 on the HE. Aim time is really, really good at 2.7, and so is the gun dispersion at 0.317. It has 9 degrees of gun depression also. I mean, did I say the gun dispersion? 0.317. And 9 degrees of gun depression with a top speed of 54 kilometers per hour. Now, I know it hasn't got any armor, but having 9 degrees of gun depression is a lot more enjoyable to play. A tank with gun depression is always a lot more enjoyable to play, which is why we always said for years, gun depression is fun depression, because it is a lot more fun. You don't have to expose your tank for a long period of time. You can sort of get the gun down, take a shot, back up. You haven't got to sort of go over the hill or over the ridge to get that shot off. So that is really, really, really good. And again, 54 kilometers per hour. So because your aim time is 2.7, it's really, really good. Your dispersion is really, really good. If you really wanted to, you can run this with sort of, instead of the V-stabs, you can have sort of 2.9 aim time, and you could run it with the refined gun and get the dispersion good as well. So yeah, I would probably run this with the refined gun. That way 2.9 aim time is still good, and 0.285 on your dispersion is also really, really, really good. So we're going to have just some battles in the tank just to show you how it plays on the battlefield. Now again, I get there is other Tier 9 mediums out there. There's some good Tier 9 mediums, but I do think over the last few years, like, Tier 9 mediums have started to sort of go downhill. Now, when I first joined the game, you had tanks like the T54, the Heat 54, absolutely amazing. But nowadays there are a lot of Tier 9 medium tanks that sort of just don't compare to the Tier 10s. I mean, the M46 pattern, yeah, it's got good DPM, good penetration, etc. But the armor on that thing really does let you down. Anything can penetrate you. Tier 8's no problem whatsoever. Yes, you can bounce on the turret possibly. You've got gun depression, you've got DPM. But yeah, it's just not as fun as the M48 pattern or, of course, the M60. So yeah, I think tier 10 mediums lately haven't been sort of up to scratch. And again, the 120, the WZ 120 is, if you compare that against the 121, it is quite poor in my opinion. And there's a few tanks out there, you know, so I do think that looking at all the other medium tanks, this with the tungsten shells, the DPM, the gun depression, it probably sits above most of the other tanks. Of course, in tier 10, like the other medium tanks in tier 9, you're going to struggle a little bit. Everyone is going to pen you, and you will struggle a little bit. Against tier 8s, yeah, you're going to perform a lot better. Well, you should perform a lot better against those tier 8s. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get some low rolls, 280, you know, that is a bit of a low roll, but we're going to get on the tungsten shells. We're going to ignore the 50 TP for now and go for the ISU 152. He's the lower hit point tanks, and again, 378 with that tungsten shells is a pretty nice. And is he going to die? Yes, he is, and we're just going to back up. Now, I do have my team, a teammate with me, which really will help against this 50 TP prototype. So the T-34 is with me. So I'm just going to sit back and let him take the shots because he's actually getting bounces. So, and I'm of course, I've bounced the 50 TP, but I'm going to stick with this guy. You know, I want to save as much hit points as I can. It's a 5 versus 4. I'm still freaking, it's annoying me, these shots. I'm like, seriously, what? Just pen the freaking guy, seriously. Finally, I do manage to pen him, and he is a one-shot. So I'm thinking, you know what, I'm just going to push forward. Yeah, I might get shot, but at this point in the game, I bring it down to just 3 tanks against 5, and we can now push this K91, who seems like he is on a reload. So we're just going to get, hopefully, one more shot off. Do we get the kill? We do have a high roll, and actually, again, that was a pretty nice high roll, and just 1 tank left alive, which is the ISU 152. He's not AFK. He is sitting there. I don't think he's AFK anyway. No, he's not AFK. He's got a kill. So we want to get there as soon as possible. Obviously, there's a few tanks around. We want to pick up as much damage as possible. And of course, always happens when you're trying to chase the damage. You want as much damage as you can. I completely missed my first shot. But am I going to get the kill? 1 second left. Nah, I'm not going to get the kill. But, you know, 3.2k damage is not bad at all. Again, these are against tier 8 tanks. So against tier 10 tanks, yeah, of course, you're not probably going to perform as well. But it is a tank that can perform against tier 10 tanks. You know, it's not a poor tank by all means. And in fact, as I've said, looking at the other medium tanks, the E50 compared to the E50M is major difference, like much difference. Nowadays, the T54 compared to the, say, T62, much difference. The M46 pattern compared to the M48, much difference. However, this, the same as the Type 61. The Type 61 compared to the STB, much difference. The CS59 compared to the CS63, hardly, in my opinion, no difference. So when you look at it like that, from that point of view, actually it is a very, very solid tier 9 medium tank. So we're just going to have one more game here, and then we will let you get on with the rest of your day. So now we've got the Chimera, the E50. So of course I want to push back, and you've got to remember, I've got 9 degrees of gun depression, which is why I want to sort of get on this ridge and maybe try to get my gun down. But yeah, I still have to expose more of my tank than I really sort of hoped to do. We did get a nice bounce there. So I'm trying to ignore the Chimera at this point because, of course, I want to go for the E50. They're around the same hit points, but the E50, he's got better DPM. He's a tier 9 tank, and for me, he's more dangerous. But I don't want to expose myself too much in trying to get that kill. But now both of these guys are a one-shot. I'm a one-shot, so I've lost a lot of hit points very, very early on. And that almost just cost me the game there. Don't know what he's doing. I thought he would have reloaded by now, but I got away with that. I really did. But as you can see, so you can get troll bounces, but you really cannot rely on that armor. And I got beaten there almost by the Chimera, who's a tier 8 tank. So you do have to bear that in mind, that you are easily dependable. People can deal with you very, very easy. So don't just waste your hit points. It is one of those medium tanks that you're just going to get bullied if you try to push too hard. It's not a T54 that can get some bounces. It's not an E50M that can get some bounces, or an E50, sorry, that can get some bounces. You don't have any armor whatsoever, so do bear that in mind. So even now, like, you got the tortoise there, I am playing it kind of risky there, because just one shot, and I'm pretty much a dead man at this point. But, you know, I can hold the ridge here, I can push. I've still got the tungsten shells to use, and that's why I love tungsten shells. Yes, I don't agree with the tungsten shells being on so many tanks now, but if it's on it, I'm going to use it, because honestly, I really do like tungsten shells. I like being able to do more damage per shot, even if it is just for a set number of time. But as I always say in tanks with tungsten shells, just make sure you use it to maximize the damage. You know, don't just press like now. Don't just press it for the sake of pressing it, because you're not going to do any more damage. If you know you can guarantee to get 2 shots off, then use it. If you can guarantee 1 shot and you think you're going to be able to get the second shot, then of course use it. If you haven't got any shots whatsoever, then of course it probably isn't worth using. So are we going to get the kill this time? Yes, we are. 5 kills there, 2.8k damage, and again, we performed quite well, considering we lost so many hit points early on. But again, you're not going to get away with that if you are up against those tier 10 tanks, so do be careful when you're playing at tier 10. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye-bye. With